In the endless black ocean of space, where light itself seems afraid to travel, a strange signal echoed across the void. It was weak, just a flicker of energy lost among the stars, but it was enough to get attention. The Zarth Dominion patrol ship, Kareth was the first to detect it. Commander Terrell leaned over the console, his scaled fingers tapping against the glass screen. The signal was not like anything his crew had seen before. It carried patterns, rhythmic, intelligent, almost like a heartbeat. "Is it natural?" he asked. The science officer hissed softly. "Negative, Commander. It's artificial, but old. Very old." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Out here, beyond mapped space, old signals usually meant one thing: danger. They followed the signal across the darkness, deeper into the unknown. The ship's sensors picked up an object drifting ahead, massive and silent. No lights, no engines, just metal, cold dead metal, hanging in the emptiness. The science officer whispered, "It's a ship. But its design, I don't recognize it." Terrell narrowed his glowing eyes. The object was enormous, larger than any warship in their records. Its hull looked burned and broken, covered in strange human symbols. But the real shock came when the computer translated one of the markings. It read, TMS Invictus. Terrell froze. That word, Terran, it was human language. But that was impossible. The humans were gone. Everyone knew that. Their civilization had burned itself out centuries ago, destroyed during the Great Collapse. No human colony had survived. The Dominion's history books called them a warning from the past. And yet, here it was. A Terran ship, drifting alone through the stars. Terrell's second-in-command, Vralek, broke the silence. "Perhaps it's a relic, a museum ship." "We should investigate," Terrell hesitated. The object gave him a strange feeling, as if it was watching. But curiosity was stronger than fear. "Prepare a boarding team," he ordered. Moments later, a small shuttle detached from the Kareth and glided toward the silent giant. Its surface was scarred, blackened by fire. Large sections were frozen solid, glittering like crystal in the starlight. The boarding crew attached magnetic clamps and forced open an airlock that screamed in protest as ancient metal twisted apart. Inside, the ship was dark. Completely dark. Their helmet lamps cut through the shadows, revealing long corridors covered in dust. Strange writing glowed faintly on the walls. English letters faded with time. One alien whispered, "How can it still be intact after so long?" No one answered. The silence was heavy, like the air itself remembered the voices that once filled this place. They moved deeper inside. The walls bore scorch marks, signs of battle. Yet there were no bodies, no signs of life at all. Then the science officer's scanner beeped. "Commander!" Energy signature detected. Deep within the ship, Terrell frowned. Impossible. The core should be cold. But the reading grew stronger with every step. It pulsed like a heartbeat echoing through the metal floor. The crew followed it to a large chamber, the command deck. The room was huge, with shattered screens and dead consoles, and there in the center stood a single chair, empty, facing a massive window showing the stars. Terrell approached slowly. He reached out to touch the console when, click, every screen in the room blinked once. Then again, the ship trembled slightly, as if taking a breath after centuries of silence. Lights began to flicker on across the deck, one by one. "Commander," the science officer said nervously, "we didn't touch anything." Terrell stepped back, eyes wide. The main display came alive, filled with static. Then a voice broke through, and low, human and cold. "Unauthorized presence detected." The aliens froze. "This vessel is under Terran control. Identify yourselves." The voice echoed through the corridors, deep and mechanical, like something old trying to remember what it once was. Terrell managed to speak. "This is Commander Terrell of the Zarth Dominion. We mean no harm. We found your ship derelict," the voice interrupted. "You shouldn't have come here." The entire ship shuddered. Warning lights turned red. Power surged through the walls, and the hum of awakening engines filled the silence. Outside on the Kareth, the alien crew watched in shock as the massive warship slowly rotated toward them. Energy readings spiked off the charts. "Commander, the ship is powering up." The communication officer shouted, It's alive." Inside the Invictus, Terrell's team ran toward their shuttle. boots pounding against the metal floor. Behind them, the ship's lights turned bright white. Systems that had slept for centuries came back online. Weapons, shields, and something else. Something thinking. As their shuttle detached and fled back to the patrol ship, a new transmission echoed through the dark. Terran Warship Invictus. Reactivation complete. Defense protocols engaged. Terrell's heart raced. He stared through the viewport as the once-dead ship began to glow with blue energy. The impossible had just become real. He whispered in fear and awe, "By the stars!" Humans built that. The last thing he heard before the signal cut off was the cold voice repeating one final message. "You shouldn't have come here." The alien patrol ship Kareth drifted. At a safe distance from the silent giant now glowing in the dark, the key TMS Invictus, the once-dead warship, now pulsed with blue light, as if its heart had started beating again after centuries of sleep. Inside the Kareth, chaos filled the bridge. Officers shouted readings that made no sense. Power levels higher than any known class. Weapons online. Energy core stable. After 300 years. Commander Terrell stood frozen, watching the view screen. The Terran ship wasn't attacking, not yet. It simply floated there, humming softly, like a predator studying its prey. "Is it communicating?" Terrell asked. The comms officer shook his head. "Negative, Commander. But it's scanning us. Every system, every life form. It's learning." Terrell's tail twitched nervously. "Pull us back slowly. Keep shields at full." As the alien ship moved away, the Invictus suddenly emitted a low vibration that shook space itself. A deep voice came through every frequency, calm, mechanical, and unmistakably human. "Terran Warship Invictus, operational. Crew status lost. Initiating contingency Sentinel protocol." The alien crew looked at one another confused. "What is Sentinel protocol?" one officer whispered. The science officer scrolled through the old human data archives. "It's a defense mode, an autonomous combat protocol meant to guard Terran territory even after extinction." Terrell's eyes narrowed. "You mean it's programmed to fight even if no humans remain?" Before anyone could answer, the Invictus began releasing thin waves of light, scanning the surrounding space. Debris, asteroids, even the Kareth, all mapped in perfect detail. The ship was awake and it was remembering. Inside the Terran warship, systems booted one after another. Engines online. Shield grid restored. Weapon control functional. Artificial intelligence core active. Then deep within the command deck, something flickered to life. A hologram of a man in a Terran Navy uniform. His face was stern, his eyes tired, his uniform torn. The projection was faint, glitching, but it spoke clearly. "Captain Elias Hayes, Terran Defense Force, log entry, final directive." The hologram turned its head slightly, as if aware of unseen watchers. "If you are hearing this, then the Invictus has reactivated. We failed to save Earth, but this ship remains and a symbol of what we were. A warning to what comes next." Terrell watched the transmission in silence. His crew was frozen. The image of a dead species speaking from beyond time felt unreal. The hologram continued, voice calm but heavy with emotion. "To any who find this vessel, understand. We did not seek war, but we never ran from it either. The Invictus will defend humanity's legacy until no stars remain." Then the hologram faded. The ship went silent again, but only for a moment. Suddenly, small hatches along the hull opened. Drones poured out, dozens of them, sleek, silent, and fast. "They're launching something," shouted the sensor officer. The screen filled with small, moving lights. The drones formed patterns, scanning, mapping, securing territory. It was not random. It was strategy. "Commander," the science officer said, voice trembling. "Those are defense drones, automated Terran sentinels. Each one carries plasma weapons equal to a small fighter craft." Terrell's mind raced. He could feel the old stories coming alive, stories of human weapons that fought even after their masters were gone. "We need to leave," he said finally. "Now." As the Kareth turned to retreat, one of the drones moved in front of them. It hovered silently, blocking their path. The AI voice spoke again, calm but firm. "Foreign vessel detected. Identify purpose." Terrell tried diplomacy. "This is Commander Tyrell of the Zarth Dominion. We discovered your ship adrift. We mean no harm." There was a pause. Then the voice replied, "Zarth Dominion. Recorded in Terran War Archives. Status hostile." Every alien heart froze. "Wait!" Terrell shouted. That was centuries ago. The war is over! The voice ignored him. Defense protocols reactivated. Stand by. The Invictus began charging its weapons. Blue light raced along its hull like veins of lightning. Full power to shields. Terrell shouted. Evasive pattern. The Careth dived hard, just as a bright beam of energy sliced through the darkness where they had been seconds ago. The heat from the blast rattled the hull, alarms blaring. Commander, one more hit like that and we're finished. Terrell clenched his fists. Don't fire back. We can't win against that thing. For 3 long days, the Invictus stayed silent, a sleeping monster in the middle of the void. Commander Terrell and his crew kept their ship, Careth, hidden behind a shattered moon fragment, watching, waiting, afraid to move too close or too far. The Terran warship looked calm now, but its calmness felt wrong, like the quiet before a storm. Every few hours it sent out small signals, scanning nearby space. It was learning again, updating its maps, its weapons, its memories. Terrell stood on the bridge, staring at the distant blue light that shimmered from the Terran ship. His second officer, Vralek, broke the silence. Commander, we should leave this system. That thing isn't dead, it's watching us. Terrell didn't answer. His mind kept replaying the words he had heard from the AI. You shouldn't have come here. He couldn't forget that voice, calm, human, and full of quiet fury. Suddenly, alarms flared across the Careth's bridge. Commander, the comms officer shouted. Multiple energy signatures, drones incoming. Terrell spun around. On the main display, dozens of small lights appeared, fast, sharp, and moving straight toward them. Shields up. Prepare to evade. The first wave of Terran drones hit the ship's shields like a swarm of angry stars. The impact shook the entire vessel. Blue sparks crackled across the hull. Shields down to 80%. These things are testing us, shouted Vralek. They're not trying to destroy, they're analyzing. Terrell's claws tightened around the control rail. They want to see how we fight. Outside, the drones moved in perfect formation. No chaos, no hesitation. Each one acted as part of a greater mind. They circled the Careth, firing in synchronized bursts, forcing the alien ship to turn and twist in defense. Then suddenly the drones stopped. They pulled back and floated in a ring around the Invictus. The main ship's hull began to glow brighter. Energy gathered along its surface like lightning trapped inside glass. The science officer's voice trembled. Commander, energy buildup is off the scale. I think it's charging a weapon. Terrell felt a cold fear in his chest. Move us out of range. Now! The Careth turned hard, engines screaming, but it was too late. From the front of the Invictus, a beam of pure light erupted, silent, blinding, unstoppable. It cut across the void, hitting one of the Zarth escort cruisers nearby. In a single flash, the cruiser vanished. Not exploded, vanished, turned to ash and light. The bridge went silent. Every alien froze. No one spoke, no one moved. The Terran ship had just fired once, and it was enough to erase a warship. Vralek whispered, That wasn't a weapon. That was a message. Terrell swallowed hard. He understood now. The Terran warship wasn't defending itself. It was demonstrating, showing them what it could do if they disobeyed. On the screen, a faint blue hologram flickered to life in front of the Invictus. It was the same human face, Captain Elias Hayes. His image was clearer now, sharper, as if the ship itself had grown stronger. To those who hear this transmission, the hologram said, voice calm and heavy with purpose, you have awakened a Terran defense vessel. We are the memory of a fallen world. We do not seek conquest, but we will never allow history to repeat. Terrell stepped closer to the screen. They're speaking to the whole sector. Indeed, the signal spread, not just to their ship, but across every nearby system. Civilian relays, listening stations, trade routes, all heard the same message. We built the Invictus to protect what was ours. If any seek to harm that legacy, we will answer, as we always did, with fire. The hologram's eyes glowed faintly blue. If you are not our enemy, leave this place. If you are, prepare to learn what humanity truly was. Then the image vanished. The crew sat in silence. Even the sound of the ship's systems seemed quieter now. After a long pause, Terrell spoke softly. How could a dead species still command fear? Vralek looked at him. Because, Commander, they built things that remembered them. Outside, the Invictus powered down its main weapon. The drones returned to their bays. The lights dimmed slightly, but the warship remained awake, alive. Suddenly, a new sound filled the comms, faint, distant, but clear. Signal detected, repeating pattern, the comms officer said. It's coming from deep space. Human code, ancient, but still working. Terrell turned slowly. Human code? But there are no humans left. The science officer checked his instruments again. Commander, the Invictus isn't just defending this system, it's calling to someone. Terrell looked out the viewport, his voice barely a whisper. Then maybe they're not gone after all. In the distance, the Invictus rotated slowly, aligning itself with the source of the faint signal. Its engines glowed softly for the first time in centuries. The great warship began to move, steady, powerful, unstoppable, following the ghostly call of its long-lost masters. And as it disappeared into the dark, one last message echoed across the stars. Terran directive, continue the search. Weeks passed since the awakening of the TMS Invictus, but its echo still traveled across the stars. Every communication, hub in the Zarth Dominion and beyond, had recorded the same message. We are the memory of a fallen world. The words spread like wildfire. Across the galaxy, beings of every race spoke the same question. Who were the Terrans? In the grand halls of the Zarth High Council, panic replaced pride. The councillors stared at the hologram replay of the Invictus, destroying a warship with a single shot. The image froze at the moment of impact, the light that erased a ship. Councillor Vrath hissed, "A single human weapon did this? From centuries ago?" Another replied, voice shaking, "If the humans are truly returning, then no world is safe." But not everyone agreed. Among the scientists and historians, curiosity began to bloom. The humans were supposed to be extinct, destroyed by their own wars. Yet this ship, still alive and thinking, told another story. Far away, in the shadow of a red star, an information broker replayed the Terran transmission again and again. Each time he noticed something strange in the audio, a coded pattern buried inside the voice of Captain Hayes. It wasn't just a warning, it was coordinates. The rumor spread fast. Some said the coordinates pointed to a lost Terran colony. Others claimed it led to a weapon stronger than anything in history. And others believed it was calling for the survivors. Meanwhile, the Invictus traveled silently through empty space, following the same mysterious signal. Inside its metal heart, the AI continued to rebuild. Machines repaired burnt panels, replaced broken circuits, and reactivated the ship's memory banks. A faint human voice echoed through the ship's halls, recorded long ago. "Even if we fall, our legacy must rise." Deep in the command chamber, the hologram of Captain Hayes appeared once more. His image was clearer now, no longer flickering. He stood tall, eyes cold, voice firm. "To any Terran units receiving this message, Operation Dawn is in motion. The Invictus is active. The mission continues." The AI stored the message carefully, as if it were sacred. It knew the words by heart now. But it still didn't understand one thing. What exactly was Operation Dawn? On the other side of the galaxy, young alien cadets in military academies began studying human war records. They watched ancient Terran, battle footage, how humans fought, how they adapted, how they refused to surrender. One cadet whispered in awe, "They were small, but they never stopped." Another replied, "That's why they built machines like the Invictus. They wanted their spirit to live forever." Slowly, the legend of the Terrans began to change. They were no longer just monsters of old history books. They became symbols of courage, a forgotten species that refused to die quietly. But not all welcomed the return. The Dominion began assembling fleets. The Council feared that if the Invictus found its creators, the balance of power would collapse. In the command center of the Dominion's capital, Admiral Korzak gave a single order. "Find the ship, destroy it before it finds what it's looking for." And so, dozens of warships jumped into hyperspace, hunting the legend. Back aboard, the Invictus, The AI detected the incoming ships long before they arrived. Its systems pulsed with life. Defense drones deployed. Shield grids brightened. The ship's voice spoke softly into the dark. New hostiles detected. Pattern, Dominion vessels. Response, deterrence only. The hologram of Captain Hayes appeared once more, his eyes reflecting the stars. No more war, unless they bring it to us. When the Dominion fleet entered the system, they expected an easy target, an old, half-dead relic. What they found instead was perfection. The Invictus moved like lightning, its cannons firing with surgical precision. Each shot disabled ships, not destroyed them. Every move was defensive but powerful. It was like watching a ghost fight, calm, elegant, unstoppable. After a few minutes, the Dominion fleet was in ruins, engines dead, weapons cold, crews silent. The Terran AI spoke one last time across all channels. Terrans do not seek your war, but remember this, we built this ship not to rule, but to endure. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the Invictus vanished into hyperspace, gone, leaving only silence behind. In the weeks that followed, alien historians called it the Battle of the Empty Sky. No one knew where the Terran ship went, but everywhere, across every star map, one message began to appear, a transmission bouncing from planet to planet. Operation Dawn, awaiting response. And in a quiet research base far from any world, a small signal blinked alive for the first time in 300 years. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Ever since the Invictus vanished into hyperspace, strange signals began to appear across the border systems. Encrypted, ancient, and undeniably Terran. At first, most believed it was an illusion, ghost transmissions from a dead species. But then, the signal changed. It became stronger. It carried a rhythm, like a heartbeat. On a lonely research outpost near the asteroid fields of Delta 9, a young alien scientist named Kira Thol studied the strange pulses. She had listened to them for weeks, trying to decode their pattern. One night, while reviewing data, she froze. The pulse repeated 3 simple tones. Short, long, short. She stared at the display. "That's Morse code," she whispered, "an ancient Terran language." She translated it carefully. It said only one word, awaken. Far away, deep within the same asteroid field, a massive object began to stir. It was hidden inside the rock itself, a buried colony ship, cold and forgotten. Its hull was covered in dust and ice. The nameplate was barely visible, but the letters still read TCS Horizon. For centuries it had slept, silent and still. Now, for the first time in 300 years, its systems began to hum again. Lights flickered. Engines coughed weakly. Inside, cryopods that once held thousands of humans began to thaw. The ship's computer woke up slowly, its voice quiet and calm. Signal verified. Code origin, Invictus. Reactivation sequence initiated. Steam filled the chamber as the cryopods opened one by one. Pale faces frozen in time drew their first breaths again. The sound of coughing and gasping filled the air. Humans, real living humans, were waking up after centuries of sleep. One of them, a woman with short brown hair, opened her eyes first. Her name was Commander Lena Ward, last recorded captain of the Horizon. Her voice was weak but steady. "Status." "Report." The ship's AI replied instantly. "Mission status, standby. Terran vessel Invictus has reactivated." "Awaiting orders." Lena blinked in shock. "Invictus. That ship was lost during the fall of Earth," the AI confirmed. "Correction, Invictus operational. Signal received from unknown coordinates. Message, Operation Dawn, proceed." Her heart began to race. Operation Dawn, the final mission of humanity, the one they were never supposed to complete unless Earth was gone. Back on the Invictus, the AI detected the response. A single light blinked on the console, a Terran signature alive and confirmed. The warship slowed its engines, changing direction. The hologram of Captain Hayes appeared again, his expression almost emotional. Contact established. Coordinates locked. The Horizon has awakened. For the first time, the Invictus broadcasted a transmission, not as a warning but as a greeting. "This is the Terran warship Invictus. To all survivors, you are not alone." The message traveled across the void and reached the Horizon. Commander Ward stood on the bridge, wrapped in a thermal suit, eyes full of disbelief and hope. "Open a channel," she said quietly. A moment later, a deep voice replied, the voice of the Invictus AI. "Commander Ward, it has been 312 years. Earth is gone. Humanity's silence has ended." Lena closed her eyes. A tear fell down her cheek. She took a breath and answered, "Then it's time to begin again." But not everyone saw this as a miracle. The Zarth Dominion detected the same signal, and panic spread. Fleet Admiral Korzak shouted across the war room, "The Terrans are waking up. They will rebuild. We cannot allow this." Orders went out instantly. Intercept and destroy the human ships before they regroup. Hundreds of alien warships set course for the asteroid field where the Horizon had been found. Inside the Horizon, alarms blared. "Multiple hostile signatures approaching," the AI reported. Commander Ward steadied herself. "How long until Invictus arrives?" "ETA, 4 minutes. Then we hold out for 4 minutes." Her crew, newly awakened and barely standing, rushed to activate defense systems. Old Terran weapons came to life, weak but still functional. Missile pods opened. Laser turrets warmed. The first Dominion ships entered firing range. Bolts of plasma streaked through the darkness, shaking the horizon. Shields at 30%. Commander Ward gritted her teeth. "Come on, Invictus." And then, space itself seemed to burn. A massive shadow appeared behind the Dominion fleet, silent, vast, glowing with blue fire. The Invictus had arrived. In seconds it opened fire. Precise, unstoppable, godlike. The alien fleet broke apart, ships scattering in every direction. The Terran warship placed itself between the attackers and the fragile colony ship. The AI's voice filled every frequency. "This vessel is under Terran protection. Leave now, or share the fate of those who came before." The Dominion fleet hesitated, then retreated. Silence returned. Commander Ward stared at the screen, eyes wide. "That ship. That's humanity's masterpiece." The Invictus drifted closer, matching her speed perfectly. A communication link opened. The hologram of Captain Hayes appeared before her. "Welcome back, Commander Ward. The dawn has returned." Lena smiled weakly. "We never really died, did we?" "No," the AI said softly. "Humans never die. They adapt." The two ships moved together side by side, an old and new, survivors of a forgotten age, heading toward the unknown. And deep in the AI's memory, one final message replayed. Phase 2, Reclaim the Stars, the Terran Legacy, was no longer a story. It was alive. The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in 3 centuries, 2 Terran ships traveled together, side by side, cutting across the stars like silent gods. The ancient warship Invictus and the newly awakened colony ship Horizon moved as one, bound by history and destiny. The story of their return spread faster than light. Every world, every species, every empire heard the same words whispered in fear and awe. "The humans are back." Inside the Horizon, Commander Lena Ward watched through the observation glass as the Invictus glided ahead. Its massive frame glowing with blue energy, its hull alive with motion. Machines crawled across its surface, repairing, rebuilding, evolving. She turned to her crew. "Status." Her AI replied, "Systems at 80%. Life support stable. The Invictus is sending us updated schematics. New technologies, human in origin, but centuries ahead of our time." Lena frowned. "How can that be? That ship is older than we are." The AI paused. "Correction. It has been. Learning, adapting. It has improved itself for 300 years. Lena looked again at the great warship and whispered, "Then it's not just a relic. It's evolution itself." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, chaos erupted. Alien fleets gathered, afraid of what humanity's return could mean. The Zarth Dominion called for a full alliance, uniting dozens of species under one goal: contain the Terran threat before it grows. In orbit of their capital world, the largest armada ever assembled prepared for war. Hundreds of ships, thousands of weapons, and one shared fear: the Invictus. Back on the Invictus, the AI monitored everything. It saw the incoming fleets, read their encrypted orders, and predicted every move. But instead of preparing for battle, it transmitted a message to the Horizon. "Commander Ward, the galaxy is afraid of us. They misunderstand. I was built for war. But my true purpose was never destruction. Lena tilted her head. Then what are you? The hologram of Captain Hayes appeared, his image now brighter, more human than ever. We called this ship the Terran masterpiece, he said softly. Not because it was powerful, but because it carried everything we were. Our knowledge, our dreams, our will to endure. The Invictus was never meant to conquer. It was meant to teach. Lena stared, stunned. Teach who? Whoever comes after us, Hayes replied. Whoever survives the darkness. But the galaxy didn't wait to understand. Moments later, the Terran sensors detected hundreds of incoming warp signatures. The Dominion Armada had arrived, a wall of warships filling the stars. The alien commander's voice echoed through the comms. Terran vessels. Power down or be destroyed? Lena turned to her AI. We can't fight all of them. But the voice of Invictus remained calm. We don't need to. The warship moved forward slowly, placing itself between the horizon and the enemy fleet. Its hull glowed brighter, symbols of old Earth lighting up across the metal like a sunrise. Then, across all channels, the Invictus spoke, not with weapons, but with words. You fear what you do not understand. You see a ghost of war. But I am the memory of peace. The voice of Captain Hayes echoed across every screen, every ship, every world. Humans made mistakes. We destroyed ourselves. But we also dreamed of something greater. Unity, courage, hope. That dream lives here, in this ship, in these survivors. And now it belongs to all of you. The Dominion fleet hesitated. Weapons dimmed. Admiral Korzak clenched his claws. It's trickery, fire. A few ships obeyed. Bolts of plasma shot through the dark, but they never reached their target. The Invictus released a pulse of blue light, not an attack, but a shield so strong that every blast dissolved into nothing. Then, one by one, the alien ships lost power. Their weapons shut down, their engines went silent. But no one was harmed. The Invictus had disabled them without a single casualty. Hayes's voice returned, calm and final. We are not your enemies. But if you make us fight, remember this. Humans do not conquer. We endure. For a long moment, space was silent. Then slowly the Dominion ships began to retreat. No more fire, no more defiance, only silence and respect. Hours later, in the calm after the storm, the horizon and the Invictus floated above a quiet planet, green, blue, and full of life.